speaker, who is going to tune in from the United States, I think, and he has a timing a difference with us, so he needs to speak now. He is a professor of sustainable finance at the European University Institute, Florence, in Italy. And he's also a visiting professor of leadership and financial markets in Africa at the LSE, London School of Economics. He's a leading global scholar with a strong practical approach and works closely with businesses and governments in Africa, Europe, and Asia. For a year, he was a scholar in residence at the National Pension Commission, Nigeria, and at the moment, he's currently the Chief Economic Advisor to the Imo State government, where he is pioneering the One Kindred, One Business initiative, also known as OKOBI, for local economic empowerment. So please put your hands together and let's welcome Professor Amaeshi. Thank you. Go ahead, please unmute yourself.
Okay, I've done so. Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know if you can hear me well.
Sorry, say that again.
I said, I don't know if you can hear me well.
We can hear you, yes. Yes, we can.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I've been on for a few minutes, and it's difficult to follow the last speaker, to be honest, and I was quite motivated by her speech. My name, as mentioned, is Kenneth Amaeshi. I'm currently in Florence, in Italy. Fortunately, I couldn't be with you in person. I would have loved to be there. So what I want to do in a while now, because of the limited time I have, and also apologies to interrupt the flow of the program, but I guess this is a nice opportunity to share some thoughts about how we can support Igbo in general. So if the organizers can allow me to share my slides, I would appreciate that. So the host, I wondered if you can allow me to, I have some slides I would like to share. Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that. So let me go straight to my slides. So what I want to do is share with you some thoughts. As was mentioned by the person who introduced me, I'm currently the Chief Economic Advisor to the Imo State government. Although whatever I say here is completely my views and has nothing to do with what the government says. So I'm not making any policy pronouncements, so to speak. And please permit me to stand on existing protocols. So what I want to do, given the topic, is to reflect on the place of women. First in the One Kindred, One Business initiative, which I'm championing, my office is championing in Imo State, but also to see it more as a strategy for peace building and economic development in the Southeast, which is the theme of the event. The emphasis is on peace building. And I want to go to it from an economic perspective. And please permit me to do that. So I'll start by first presenting the background to the conversation and then ask how OKOBI can be part of the solution and some of the priorities and expected outcomes, and then come back again to see how women can play a major role in that. As I was listening to one of the commentators earlier, he said, well, we shouldn't talk about women's riot. It wasn't a riot because the word riot was used by the British to caricature what was a brave move by about women to intervene. So she suggested that we use the word intervention or activism, which automatically changed. So going back to understanding the place of women in Igbo land and the role women have played, I think it's quite important to emphasize that women play significant roles in our Igbo. Here are some of the faces behind that intervention and activism. I guess a number of them have been mentioned, but particularly the lady Nwa Nyere Uwa played a major role in that. And most of the time we don't see the faces of these people, but I thought it was a good way to look at it. Then the other thing that women also do in our Igbo, which have been mentioned, is the August meeting. So the question becomes, how can the August meeting be part of the economic solutions we aspire to have in Igbo land? And what I've noticed that when women convert, they normally pursue some worthy social projects. It could be town halls, it could be roads, it could be electricity projects, it could also be a case of settling disputes. But they play a vital role in the social cohesion of an Igbo. So the August meeting is a very important part of our economic development narrative. But the question then is, how can we leverage both the trajectory or the antecedent or the import of what our women have done in the past, what they are currently doing through the August meeting and other economic interventions, and the role they play in the economy to galvanize the Southeast economy. So in this case, there is a place for women in economic development, and it can be mainstream. And I see that as a very good vehicle to pursue what we are trying to do through the OKOBI agenda. But you may ask me, and then you may ask the question, what is OKOBI? OKOBI is an acronym for One Kindred, One Business Initiative or Idea. The point here is that every family in Igbo land can have a business. So instead of waiting for government to give us jobs, instead of waiting to be employed, how can we create our own businesses? The Igbo people are very entrepreneurial. How can we ensure that we are all going together? So the One Kindred, One Business Initiative recognizes that extended families can create businesses. So imagine a situation whereby we use our August meetings. So when we go to Alibo, in addition to the social projects we do, we also create businesses that are economically productive. So that way we can support the social activities we conduct. So the One Kindred, One Business, in a nutshell, is about groups coming together to create businesses. These groups can be related by family relationship or blood relations, but they can also be loose networks of maybe old boys association, old girls association, or even churches. So imagine the different parishes in Igbo land having one business or the other. So that's where we want to get to with this OKOBI idea. But the question might be, why do we need OKOBI at this point in time? First is the high level of unemployment. Since my role in Imo State as the Chief Economic Advisor, it's really opened my eyes to the level of unemployment in Imo State, as well as in the Southeast. But the point here is that the Southeast, or Imo State in particular, is a victim of our own success, because Imo State has a lot of graduates. Unfortunately, the state cannot employ everyone, and also the state doesn't have the economic capacity in terms of companies in Imo State that will be able to absorb the number of people that graduate from, that are Imo State indigenous, that are graduates. So that, in a way, then, we are looking for opportunities to address this issue of unemployment. And the Imo State government has also committed to training about 300,000 Imo youths on digital skills. So the OKOBI initiative is complementary to that effort to ensure that we create jobs and solve unemployment. If we address unemployment, obviously we address poverty and also the problem of inequality. And we're able also to extend the benefits of shared prosperity to the grassroots. We can also address rural and urban migration. What you find is that many of our people leave the rural areas, they live in most states, they leave the Southeast, they go to Lagos, they go to Abuja or further afield. But when they go to these places, they become the urban poor. So how can we create wealth in Igbo land instead of exporting our skills and talents? So, and there is also a link between this and the problem or the challenges of insecurity. Good enough, the sort of insecurity we have in the Southeast is not driven by religious ideologies, but rather it's a function, in my own views, is to a large extent dependent on people feeling marginalized economically, people feeling disconnected from the benefits of the economy. But if there is a way we can provide for many and address the challenges of unemployment and poverty, probably also we can address the issues of insecurity. So who can join the OKOBI initiative? I already mentioned it could be kinsmen, family members, friends, communities, churches, and so on and so forth. But the critical point is about group-owned businesses. The guiding philosophy is about teaching people how to fish as opposed to giving them fish. So, and a good example to demonstrate is that over time, people in diaspora who are not in Igbo land, or even, if you're a well-to-do person, or even if you're an average person in your community, I guess you receive a lot of calls, either on a weekly basis or monthly basis, people reaching out to you to help them. Imagine a situation whereby an average person spends, like, say, 1 million naira every year helping people solve one problem or the other. Assuming you have 10 people in a community or a village who spend the same amount of money, so we're looking at 10 million naira there. That 10 million naira, if put together, can help set up a poultry business. It can also help set up a small business that can support people at home. So instead of always giving them fish, we teach them how to fish. The OKOBI philosophy, again, is based on people working together, because over time we have, to a large extent, emphasized the issue of individualism. So whether we are supporting SMEs or micro-entrepreneurs, it's about individuals. But the OKOBI philosophy is based on the fact that that sense of communality can also come back, and the Igbo people are known for that coming together, because we have shown that we can use that coming together to solve our social problems. Then why can't we use the same philosophy and principles to create businesses that will be productive to support our people? So in that process, it's about investing together to earn more. And it's also about leaving no one behind. Because if you look at some of our communities, we are fractured because you have very few people who are prospering. And because very few people are prospering, the many who are not may be inclined to be envious. And then you begin to see the social fragmentation that happens in our different communities. But when we invest together, earn more, grow together, then no one is left behind. And there are many areas, as we have seen of late, that villages or kindreds or communities can invest in. Agribusiness, for example. It might also be issue of services or manufacturing, animal husbandry, and many others that people are sitting on. Just to give you an example, recently a cement manufacturing company reached out to us and said that they were looking for palm kernel shells, palm kernel shells, and people never thought that was a business. But this is a business that will go into a global cement manufacturing company's value chain and possibly create jobs for people down the value chain. What are the characteristics to join? Very simple. We have to be registered as a group. Again, we keep emphasizing group because even an African saying has it that if you want to travel fast, travel alone. But if you want to travel far, travel with others. So we are tapping into that philosophy of traveling far in a sustainable way with others. In our own case, we said, okay, the business has to be located in Imo State, but another state can say maybe Abia or Ebonyi or Anambra, can say, yeah, the business has to be located in their states. But we want to create businesses located in the Southeast. It has to be profit-oriented. It's not charity. So this is proper business, and it also has to focus on job creation and employment. There are many benefits. Say, for example, in Imo State, if you register as a cooperative, there is no tax incentive. You have a tax incentive, you don't pay tax. It can also be supported by the Office of the Chief Economic Advisor, but we're also trying to put together a community of volunteers that can support some of these kindred businesses. Because people may have good ideas, but they don't know how to go about them, or also they may not know how to put together a good business plan in order to attract finance. There are, of course, opportunities, the societal outcomes in terms of economic empowerment and rural development, or shared prosperity, enhanced peace and security. Because that's why we're here today talking about how to make Igbo safe. You can also think about improve internally generated revenue for the government. And it can also link us to the Nigerian context and further afield. And one of the things we are doing at the moment is to also think about how we can channel remittances from the diaspora community into our different homes or villages. Because at the moment, those remittances are there to solve what will I call everyday needs problems as opposed to being channeled to productive means. OKOBI is currently being pursued in Imo State, and we call it's more of a new economics from Imo State, but it's not limited to Imo State. The social structure of Imo State is similar to the social structure of the Southeast in general. And this idea, we've found ways to think of how we can connect to the international community as well, because if you don't say you are, people won't recognize that you are. So we need to also put our voice out there, and the OKOBI idea was recently published by the London School of Economics. It was also published by a newspaper in Italy, showcasing the good things that can also come from Africa. I already talked about it, but we are also going ahead to support these OKOBI businesses by providing training. We use radio. For those of us in the Southeast, our audience is up to 5 million. We use 3 major radio stations in Imo State to help these businesses. So help them identify opportunities and even help them think about how to finance the opportunities. So we started about 6 months ago. We have been able to register up to 110 businesses. And if each of them had an average of 10 per business, so we're looking at about 1,000 associates at the moment. But the idea is to see how we can grow to say 5,000 businesses. And if you have 5,000 businesses and each of them having about 10 on the average, then we're looking at 50,000 jobs. And just to put things in context, the Imo State government employs about 40,000 people. So that means that the OKOBI businesses can end up engaging more people than the Imo State government. So here are some examples of organizations that have come forward. The A92 is an OKOBI business of an old boys association of a secondary school, the class of 92, and they have created their own business. Another community in Imo State, in this case, created a multi-purpose cooperative, but theirs is more about the funding part of it. They pool funds together to support businesses in their local economy. So we allow people to be imaginative enough, to be as flexible as possible to do what they can. So this is the target, more like, so to create 5,000 businesses in 2024 and beyond, 50,000 jobs. Now, if you put it in salary-wise, if they're doing 50,000 a month, we're looking at about 30 billion naira. So I think there is much we can do by pulling our resources and working together. That's basically what we're trying to talk about here. And the governor himself has been quite supportive with his government, and he's given us all the leeway and support, because leadership in this case is critical. And I also see leadership in the Southeast pioneering this sort of idea. If you go back in time, MI Opera, Zik, Nanda Zikiwe, when they started, I mean, the cooperative was a big movement in the Southeast. So what happened to it over the years? How do we resuscitate that thinking and key into it in a way to reposition the Southeast? But coming back again to where we are today and the role of women, the Aba intervention happened in 1929. So we are literally 6 years short of it being 100 years. I hope this platform will be able to celebrate these women or have something planned for that. So 100 years ago, almost 100 years ago, they did something. I'm today inviting the Nkata ndi Iyom to key into OKOBI. I use OKOBI as another way of intervening to address the problem of unemployment, to create shared prosperity in our Igbo, and also to address the issue of insecurity. Again, you can use the August meetings for that as a good platform, as a starting platform. Imagine a situation whereby many of our communities next year, because we have like 10 months or more to plan, and say for next year, every August meeting should be able to produce a business. That in itself will have massive impact. Of course, not all the businesses will survive, but that shouldn't be a problem because failure is also part of the entrepreneurial journey. But it's always good to try. We fail, we stand, we try, and we move ahead. So this is more like an invitation to the women to come back to take their rightful place in economic development, and also play the role Nwanyerowa played in 1929. And the question I'm leaving with the audience today is, can you be the Nwanyerowa of our time by using OKOBI to also drive this economic? So permit me to stop here. I know you have other things to do, and I just caught you in between your would-be messages. But I thought to share these ideas with you and probably invite some conversations. But if not, this is my contact details, and I'll be happy to help any state in any state in the Southeast that is interested in this. Any community, even if you're not from Imo State, I will be happy, and my office will be happy to support you achieve some of these goals. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Kenneth Amaeshi. Thank you very much. Please give him a good round of applause. This presentation is actually really, really crucial. Professor Amaeshi has tied sustainable economic empowerment to the process of peace building. And he has given us a template, which he calls OKOBI, which can be implemented in any state, really. The crucial part of it is empowering the youth. Part of the reason you have constant conflict is because the youth are not empowered. You have a high level of poverty, high level of unemployment, and those are the key reasons. So what he is giving us is a solution to conflict in the Southeast by engaging the youth and connecting with the grassroots. Okay, let's quickly press on to the next speaker. If you remember at the beginning, we said that we're not just going to be talking to ourselves as Igbo